It is really late in the night. I was sleeping. I woke back up just a minute ago. But I was watching video feed on Teofimo Lopez versus Lomachenko on different people's predictions on the fight. And I thought, you know what, let me share a couple of thoughts that a lot of you guys haven't been considering. And this thought is something that I do need to go back to sleep. So, but this is a thought that I was considering that I wanted to share with the public about this fight. I'm sleepy. All right, so the first thing is that there are levels to the sport of boxing, right? There's levels. And what Lopez showed us with almost every single test that he was faced with was that those tests wasn't even on his level because he was smoking his opposition, right? Just smoking them. Like Richard Comey is this world champion. You know, he's supposed to have the kryptonite for Teofimo Lopez, the right hand that everybody said Nakatani was hitting him with. Which, by the way, Teofimo Lopez wasn't getting hit a lot with a lot of right hands by Nakatani. And let's not forget that Nakatani got his ass whooped. At a certain point in that fight, it looked like Nakatani was going to get not stopped. Okay? Just saying. But something that, you know, I just wanted to share is there's levels to the sport of boxing. And Lopez was just blowing through those levels, just showing that those guys was just nowhere near his level of boxing ability, including Richard Comey. Richard Comey, who everybody thought was going to give Lopez problems, Lopez blew out the water as if he didn't even exist. So what that's saying is there's levels to Lopez. Now, of course, there's the X factor and the wild card factor, and nobody really knows. But here's what I want you guys to do: go and look at Lopez amateur fights. Because since we don't have a whole bunch of pro fights for Lopez, we need to go back to the amateurs and watch what he can do in the ring as an amateur. Because that's the only way you're going to get to see who Lopez really is. That's what I did with Javante Davis. That's what I did with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia has been smoking people, right? He's been smoking our people. The reason is, if y'all go and watch his amateur fights, you know that Ryan Garcia beat Virgil Ortiz in the amateurs. I mean, he smoked him. Like, he really gave him a boxing clinic. Okay? And I'm talking about Mayweather like stuff. You know what I'm saying? My point being, Ryan Garcia is an excellent boxer. And those people who don't know is because they haven't seen him in the amateurs. Okay? His fights with Devin Haney and all this stuff. He's an excellent boxer. Tank knows him. Devin Haney knows him. Them new school, new breeds. You know, some of these guys call them young guns. These young guns or new breeds, the new school guys know this kid. Right? So here's what I'll tell you guys. You want to know more about these guys and their styles? Say, for example, Teofimo Lopez, go watch his amateur fights. You wanna know a little bit more about any one of them, Devin Haney, Ron Garcia, go watch the amateur fights because you guys can always go and watch Lomachenko's amateur fights. He's got extensive amateur background as well. Right? And that'll give you an idea of what these guys are capable of doing. Right? So that's one way to look at it. Pros obviously is not the amateurs, but nonetheless. Because I've been having this discussion in groups, and I see Coach Eric Bradley brought up something. Shout out to Coach Eric Bradley's Master Boxing. If you guys haven't checked out Master Boxing by now, and you've been on my channel for so long, then shame on you. Master Boxing. And you guys can also go subscribe. You can also take up a subscription to Master Boxing on their website. But I was looking at but Coach Eric Bradley had, Sugar Shea Mosley's son, Sugar Shea Mosley Jr. He also had another excellent person on there, and they were talking about Teofimo Lopez pretty much because he has that, like they say, that X factor. that thing. He really does. I mean, he's marketed very well. He's got the flips and the celebrations. He has a really interesting personality. He has the package to become a superstar in boxing. He has the overall package, you know. Um, and but besides that, the competition Teofimo Lopez has been facing, he has shown that that competition doesn't belong in it with him in the ring. He showed that a world champion, the IBF champion, Richard Comey, did not belong in the ring with him. And I just want to say a couple of things about that and branch out on it. Because there's levels to the sport of boxing. And y'all got to understand the gifted new breed that's coming up. You know, I'm speaking specifically about guys like Shakur Stevenson, Gervonta Davis, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, Virgil Ortiz, Jerome Ennis. This is the new breed. This is the new breed. And the new breed, they operate, they've been watching guys, they've been watching the best, Pacquiao, Mayweather. They've been watching Bernard Hopkins. They've been watching these kids. And then they got all them other guys from way back when, Roy Jones Jr., Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. They got a library of greats they can watch at. See, as time goes along, you're going to have more and more greats. You're going to have more and more of a reservoir to go back on because of technology. Excuse me. Because I have a reflux, and so I'm coughing. Because you've got all of this footage, we never seen footage on Harry Crabb except one or two little things. We didn't have footage on John L. Sullivan, right? We didn't have really a whole extensive footage on Jack Johnson or, Tiger Flowers or them kind of guys, right? But we now have extensive footage, of fighters. So guys can get to watch them. And then since they're legends, you can go to Las Vegas and you can go see them, or you go to the Philippines, wherever, you can go see them. You can even spar some of them. You can talk to some of them. And this new breed, which is dedicated to boxing. Now, this ain't nothing new. Boxers have been boxing since they're kids from a long, long time ago. But this new breed, they literally breed in them to be boxers, right? Teofimo Lopez, he was boxing since he was 2. Sean Porter, boxing since he was 6. You know what I mean? And this new breed, Shakur Stevenson, and so on. These kids been doing it for a very, very long time. Now, Lomachenko's also been boxing since he was a baby, right? Father put him in programs and stuff. So we're not even trying to trip on saying that Lomachenko is not exceptional. But the new breed now make Lomachenko look standard stuck. You get what I'm saying? Now, Lomachenko's done some impressive things since he's gone into the pros. But he's not the new breed. That's like back in the day. It took you a lifetime to be able to play a piece by Paganini on the violin. Nowadays, the new breed, I call them the new breed, they do that within 3 years of learning the violin. Within 3 years, these kids are picked up and being able, with dexterity and skill, to play a Paganini piece like if it was nothing. That's the new breed. Because we got so much knowledge now, and we have different methods of teaching the violin. That's the same thing with boxing. And so this new breed that just came on the scene, is about to take this game to a whole other level. Who got next? Teal's up next. It's his turn to step to the plate and perform. And that's what a lot of you don't understand. When he stops Lomachenko, okay, this is what's up. When he stops Lomachenko, he will be the first new breed to show you guys that there's levels to the sport of boxing, that he's way over Lomachenko's level. Y'all gonna take Teofimo Lopez very seriously after that. And y'all gonna praise him and put him up on this pedestal, but we got Shakur Stevens. We got Gervonta Davis. We got Devin Haney. We got Ryan Garcia. All of these new breeds I just spoke about, they levels ahead of Josh Taylor. They levels ahead of what's his kid? Jose Ramirez. Them guys good. They're great, but they're not the new breed. But they're great. They're good. But they're not the new breed. There's a difference between speaking about the new breed and them guys. This is a special group of fighters. What's interesting about this one is that once, they say every 20 years, you get these special, like 1 or 2 special fighters every 20 years. But we have been blessed to see 10 special fighters coming up. There are about 10 of them. This is at a different time. This is a different time, folks. And I'm just excited to say that. And these new breed fighters are different. They're different. They're not just good at 1 or 2 things. They're good at a lot of stuff. But some of them are not dedicated enough. And some of them are super dedicated. And the dedication is what's going to separate the gifted and the skilled from the great. And that's what we're talking about. Leah Santa Cruz, great fighter, just like Lomachenko. But he's not a new breed fighter. He's not a new breed fighter. Now, he's good, but he's not a new breed fighter. Now, Tank is gifted, skilled. He's a new breed fighter. But is he dedicated? And that's the difference. So I wanted to talk about that because, and that's why I got up, as the thought popped in my head, I said, hey, there's levels to this game. And we're going to see Teofimo Lopez demonstrate that. I truly believe that. He's going to show you why there's levels to boxing. And to a lesser extent, what Floyd did with Gennaro Hernandez, to a lesser extent. Because what Floyd did with Gennaro Hernandez could not top what Teofimo Lopez is about to do to Lomachenko. Because Teofimo Lopez, he's a little older than Floyd, but Lomachenko's status is tremendous already. Now, Gennaro Hernandez had the longevity. That's the only thing that Lomachenko don't have. He don't have longevity. He has amateur longevity, but in the pros, he doesn't have that. But he has remarkable accomplishments that there's the only person I think that matches that right now is not even in men's boxing. It's in women's boxing. It's Clarissa Shields. And as I said before, Clarissa Shields, the pool of women in women's boxing is shallower than men's boxing. So what Lomachenko did cannot be looked at as some small feat. Okay? And if you guys are Lomachenko fans, please do not feel a how about what I'm saying. I'm not trying to hate on Lomachenko at all. He is a great fighter. He will continue to be a great fighter. He will continue to be other fighters, good fighters and former world champions and stuff, he would continue to do it. May have to go down to super featherweight to do it, but he would continue to do it. And again, Roy Jones Jr. made this point. I make it too. He's not too old. Now, some people say that his opposition is too big for him. I disagree with that as well. I do not believe his opposition is too big. As I said before, there are levels to the sport of boxing, and he started to meet guys who leveled up and started to become competitive with him. Now, people talk about Gary Russell Jr. Gary Russell Jr. wasn't ready for Lomachenko when he faced him. He wasn't ready. Gary Russell Jr. had been facing opposition that did not prepare him for Lomachenko. Unlike Teofimo Lopez, who has faced a southpaw who was once a world champion in Diego Magdaleno. That fight was supposed to go much longer than it went, and Teofimo Lopez got him out of there. Richard Comey was supposed to be a test. Richard Comey's supposed to have the equalizer with the right hand. Teofimo Lopez set him up and took him out of there. He set him up. Teofimo Lopez goes inside and outside of the pocket. Boom, and it's over. Richard Comey was supposed to be a test. He passed that test with flying colors. I thought Richard Comey would have been a problem for him based on the Nakatani fight. He proved me wrong. I started studying his fights. I started looking at what he does. And I said, this kid gonna be A-okay with Lomachenko. In fact, I said to myself, he'll stop him. And I told y'all this because I was watching the way how he circled Diego Magdaleno. He doesn't circle him the way how most orthodox fighters circle southpaws. If you look at Mikey Garcia, when he circles a southpaw, he goes to the clockwise direction, circling them, because he wants to stay away from the power hand, and he stays on the outside of southpaw's jabbing hand. I am a southpaw. You look at Timothy Bradley, how he deals with southpaws, same thing. That is the recognized way to circle a southpaw. Teofimo Lopez does not circle southpaws like that. He circles them the way how I told you you should circle a southpaw like Lomachenko, who will take advantage of that situation. But he also maintains range. He also maintains distance to stay outside of the power hand of the southpaw's lead left. Why I explain all of this to you guys now is because nothing can change between Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. They prepare for this fight. It's now fight week. They can't do nothing about this. How Mayweather circled Pacquiao is how Teofimo Lopez circles southpaws. Now, why this is important for you guys to understand is because Teofimo Lopez has pretty quick reaction time, or what we call quickness, period. Because he's quick and explosive, he can take advantage of that situation and land the right hand. And I told you the right hand is going to be a factor in this fight. And he can take away all the angles from Lomachenko by just circling that direction and respecting distance and range. That's all he got to do, and he takes away Lomachenko's game. Because he's going to see everything that Lomachenko's about to do, because Lomachenko's going to be too far out to do anything about it. He can also set up traps. Then y'all going to ask me, well, where was Lomachenko's angles? Where was all the angles and the fancy footwork that Lomachenko had? Teofimo Lopez took it away from him by circling anti-clockwise. He got to come straight down the center into that right hand's path. Guess who's quicker and more explosive? Teofimo Lopez. So this is a recipe Lomachenko's tailor-made for Teofimo Lopez to knock him out. And Lomachenko knows this. So he's preparing to get tough so he can take Teofimo Lopez's punches and come back with something. But he's going to have a problem. Because guess who has the longer reach advantage? Teofimo Lopez. Which means for the entire night, the kryptonite to any southpaw. The right hand is going to have its fun in this fight. I'll let you guys know. I broke it down. I'll let you guys understand that this is just the way how boxing is. Lomachenko is going to have to take a lot of punishment to try to get in on Teofimo Lopez. Lopez knew this from several fights ago when he was saying, I know how to beat Lomachenko. His father knew this from several fights ago. They knew the fundamental flaw of all of these really great fighters who step around other fighters is the fact that they need to have a certain range to step around certain fighters. This is the fundamental flaw of Manny Pacquiao. This is the fundamental flaw of Aaron Pryor. If you're going to fight a fighter like Aaron Pryor or Manny Pacquiao, you have to take away from them their preferred range. And once you do that, then you got them. Now they have to come through the front door. And I don't care how much tenacity they got, they're going to eat punches because you will pay to try to land something on me. You're not just going to get ground on me just like that. You will pay to get that real estate. So fighters like a Floyd Mayweather will make you pay for that. Floyd Mayweather guarded his real estate. I was listening to Teddy Atlas when he was talking about the fight between Dillian White and Alexander Povetkin, and how Dillian White allowed Alexander Povetkin some real estate that he should not have had, and allowed Alexander Povetkin to pull off that upset win. Dillian White did not punish Alexander Povetkin for violating the range at which he should have been at. He was keeping him with the jab at bay. He should have landed that right hand on him if he even dreamed of closing the distance on him. Or step back and pivot and create space. It's about real estate. That's what this fight's going to be. There are two things you need to understand when facing any southpaw. One, the laws that govern a southpaw versus an orthodox fighter. Just understand the stance and what they can do or what they can't do. And two, which means same thing for you. And two, the other thing that you need to understand is the kind of fighter you're dealing with. So there are southpaws who fight from long range. There are southpaws who fight from mid-range. There are southpaws who are inside fighters. An inside fighting southpaw is James Kirkland. In mid-range fighting southpaw, there's several of them, and they are exceptional, And then the outside fighting southpaws that you can look at is like Jose Ramirez, who also fights on the inside. You must know if these southpaws can handle all real estates or a specific type of real estate range. Because in fights where a fighter is limited by range, you should take advantage of that situation and exploit it. That means, let me give you an example again and break it down for you guys who don't understand boxing too much. If a fighter is a mid-range fighter, that's what they're good at doing. Once you go deep in the pocket on the inside, body to body, you have an advantage on them because they don't usually fight there. They may be good at fighting there to some degree. You will have to test that out. But that's one of the ranges. So once you get in close to them and they start clinching you up, if you're the bigger fighter, you're supposed to impose your weight, your size, and push them back to the ropes. Impose your weight, your size, push them back to the ropes. What did Tyson Fury do to Deontay Wilder? If they're a mid-range fighter, it also means that all you got to do is stay on the periphery of the range, especially if they're an in and out fighter. So you stay outside the pocket, you go in when it's beneficial to you, and you limit the amount of options they have to get into the pocket. You understand? This is how you do it. How do you control fighters for going in and out of the pocket? Now, this is the very most important thing. There are This is what's called the lead hand in boxing. You have your left. Okay, so if you're dealing with, it depends on who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with, will be your lead hand. But let's just say you're an orthodox fighter. Your left hand is, generally speaking, in your orthodox stance, your lead hand. It just naturally is because it's in front of you, right? You have a lead foot and you have a lead hand. So let me break it down real simple for you guys so you understand what I'm talking about. So when you're dealing with a southpaw, his lead hand is his right hand. His lead foot, this is all, the foot and the hand are very important. It's both. Your lead foot, where your lead foot goes and all of that is very important. So anyway, but generally speaking, I being a southpaw, my lead foot is my right foot. My lead hand is my right hand. All right? In orthodox fighters, their lead hand is their left hand and their lead foot is their left foot. However, and this is very important for people to understand. While using the jab is important, and you can still use the jab, and you should use the jab when you're fighting southpaws, the most effective punch when facing a southpaw is not for an orthodox fighter their lead hand or their jabbing hand. It is in fact their lead power hand. Your power hand is set up as a lead hand. And what Teofimo Lopez showed me, something that Roy Jones Jr. used to do, Floyd Mayweather used to do, is they get their lead hand as close as possible, their lead power hand as close as possible to their opponent, which means they square up a little bit more to throw the punch. Lopez showed me so much that I cannot even explain to you guys how much he showed me in terms of his footwork. Also, even though he's sloppy with it, because he's young, but in terms of his footwork, in terms of his lead hand that he uses as his power hand. Now the jabbing hand, I'm going to try and explain this to you guys real quick and real simple. You guys go look at Zab Judah versus Floyd Mayweather. Go watch that fight. You'll learn quite a lot about gifted fighters and what they do with their lead hands. Zab Judah is a perfect example. In fact, I would ask all of you, when you finish watching this video, to go sit down and watch footage of Zab Judah. Just watch nonstop footage of Zab Judah. Okay, that will tell you quite a lot. Zab Judah prepared Floyd for Manny Pacquiao. Let's just put it that way. Okay, Zab Judah is an unbelievable boxer that just never lived up to his potential because mentally he always get thrown off by someone. But he was an unbelievable boxer, gifted, more gifted than Floyd, skilled, boxing IQ out through the roof. The only thing that made Zab not reach his full potential was the fact that Zab got mentally thrown in fights or before fights. If Zab had that mental toughness like Floyd had, he'd be a greater boxer than Floyd was. But this is how boxing is, right? The thing I want to show you guys is how Zab uses his lead hand, meaning his right hand. And all southpaws should go and look at Zab Judah and how he uses his right hand, okay? Because there's certain things he do in there with his right hand that not even Whitaker used to do, okay? But what Zab do that's really interesting is Zab has a way of baiting you with his lead hand, but he can change his lead hand, his left lead hand, from baiting you into a strong, powerful jab. He really can jab very hard. He jabbed Floyd and knocked Floyd back with that. So you don't know, Zab is a guy, he changes the speed of his jab and he changes the rhythm of his jab. So 1 minute he's just baiting you. He can set up the left, boom, coming straight up the center with the left uppercut, right? Or he'll be baiting you, and you say, oh, the left uppercut's coming, and then bam, he hits you with a right hook, over the top, or he stabs you hard to the head with a jab. Okay? So he varies the tempo, the rhythm, the speed of his jab. Why I said that is because that's what Lomachenko also does. Lomachenko is one of those special fighters who can do that. And you can't just focus on Lomachenko's left hand. You also, or more importantly than anything else, you need to focus on Lomachenko's lead hand, which will be his right hand. And Loma can do all kinds of things with his right hand. He can do all kinds of things with his left hand too, but he does a lot of things with his right hand. He takes his right hand, he can slap down your jab, or he try to come over the top of your jab, right? And his lead hand is actually so a lot of times what he uses to get to the inside, because he'll come off a jab, get textbook stuff. And why I'm saying this right now is because you can't just look at exclusively Teofimo Lopez using the right hand. He's going to have to do something to deal with Lomachenko's lead left hand, which will try to occupy him. He's going to try and do all kinds of things to him. And he has to stay focused on what he's going to do, because Lomachenko is going to try and get him in the battle of the lead hands. You see? But here's the kryptonite to that. Lead hand, lead foot. So even if he gets his lead hand to slap down Teofimo Lopez's lead hand, Teofimo Lopez doesn't need to focus on his left lead hand. He needs to focus on his feet. Not Lomachenko's feet, his feet, maintaining range. Because all Lomachenko's trying to do is come off safely to the inside, to the mid-range, to his preferred range. And he's going to use tactics like lead foot dominance and that kind of thing. And I don't want to say no more because I think I'm talking too much about this fight, but suffice it to say, that's how you nullify it. All right? So, Zab Judah, faster than Floyd, quicker than Floyd. Like I said, he got a stabbing jab, a flicking jab. He can hook over the jab. But what did Floyd do to offset that? Two things he did. One was he started respecting range. He wouldn't just stand there in front of Zab and freeze up. No, he would shift. He would pivot anti-clockwise. Like I said, it's just a simple thing. You move your feet. If he moves his feet, you move your feet. But you're moving your feet not straight back. If you go straight back, he gonna get you. So Floyd respect distance on Zab, because Zab was way too fast for him. Zab's like 4 or 5 miles an hour faster than Floyd in everything. He was quicker than Floyd, and he was faster than Floyd. How you beat a fighter that's faster and quicker than you? Timing. Feints. So Floyd took that step back on Zab, respecting distance, and he feints Zab as if he's going to do something, and Zab will react. Once Zab reacts, Floyd could hook over the jab, hook over his jab, or hook over his hook, because Zab hit hard. Similarly, Lopez is going to have to do something like that, or go straight to the body with a straight leg. So this is the sort of thing that I'm talking about. And it seems, though, from what I see, Lopez's father, at least, has been helping him along, training him along those lines. He's no Floyd Mayweather, but he has that kind of knowledge in him. And so that's why a lot of people are rocking with Lopez. Crucial Shields, a lot of the younger people, obviously. The older heads are going to rock with Loma. And I don't fault them. I understand why you're saying you're rocking with Loma. I get it. You don't have to tell me. I can see it. The evidence is there. Okay? This man has beaten guys that hurt him and stuff, right? And he came back and his conditioning is ridiculous. I got you. I understand. I understand the man knows how to run algorithms. Lomachenko's an algorithm fighter. He runs algorithms. Very smart because he's got all this talent pool of algorithms. He knows what to do in every single situation, more or less. And if not, he gonna tough it out. He gonna bite down. He can tough it out, and he grit it up, and he gonna knuckle up and do what he got to do. I get it. Against certain fighters, that's a good idea. Against this fighter, it's not a good idea because Lopez has defense as well. He's got defense. You're not just gonna knuckle up and walk to Lopez and say you're gonna throw bombs. You know, you're gonna have to outsmart him. You're gonna have to out finesse him somehow, some way. That's not a guy you want to just go straight down the center of. Nah. So you're gonna have to treat him like how you treat Linares, except Linares did not know how to deal with southpaws. Lopez does know how to deal with southpaws. Linares, has been dropped by several people in his career. It wasn't the guy with the best, strongest, sturdiest chin. He was solid. We didn't have he could crack. You know what I'm saying? He could crack. But I mean, he's not gifted like that. He's not gifted like that. When I mean by gifted, I'm talking about like fast twitch muscles. I'm talking about explosiveness. I'm talking about quickness. I'm talking about athleticism. He's not gifted like that. You know what I'm saying? And there are things that Lopez does that I could see Lomachenko getting onto one time. He'd be like, that's a pattern right there. You know what I mean? I can see it. I mean, I see his mannerism. I see what Lopez does. I see how Lomachenko could jump on that. But by and large, I just explained to you the reason why I think Lopez is going to beat Lomachenko by stoppage. Within 5 rounds, I think he's going to stop him. And a lot of y'all some of y'all gonna be shocked, and some of y'all will not be shocked because I just broke it down. I mean, there's a lot more you could do, and Lomachenko, these guys are great fighters, and so if Lomachenko proved me wrong, I'm not mad. Like, this is more of a analytical approach to it, and I can understand why people would rock with Lomachenko, period, because again, he's proven himself. Time and time again, beat world champions. Lomachenko said, "Put me in with tough, man. Put me in tough." You know what I'm saying? So, I got nothing but respect for Lomachenko, and I see some people bashing Lomachenko and all this. Listen, man, this ain't about fandom right now for me. This is just me analyzing the situation. I'm not trying to like when I say I think I have a game plan to beat Lomachenko. It wasn't that I was like, I hate Lomachenko or anything like that. A lot of people think I hate Lomachenko or something. No, man. No, not at all. If he wins, man, that'll be huge. That'll be huge. And I give him my props again. I was wrong about Gary Mariga now. I was wrong. So I can be wrong. But at least I give you a reason why I think this would go this way. It may not be correct. I may be absolutely wrong. In which case, so be it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem with that. But I don't think that Lomachenko's too old. I don't think that it's because the guys in there are too big for him. I don't believe that stuff. Because I've seen other great fighters. I don't want people making excuses for either guy. If Teofimo Lopez lose, we eat our crow. I eat my crow. That's what it is. Lomachenko proved to me that he was a lot more than I thought he was, which would be awesome. That means I'm gonna sit down and study him some more and enjoy the greatness that he is. Right? So I'm not like I said before, I've been wrong many times. I thought Keith Thurman was gonna beat Manny Pacquiao. Even though I gave all the caveats of Manny Pacquiao beating Keith Thurman and Keith Thurman not being, not being lax against him. And people, applauded the video and said, "Man, you were spot on about that." I was like, "No, but my prediction was wrong, though. My prediction was that Keith Thurman would beat Manny Pacquiao." And it went the other way. So, My prediction was wrong. I broke it down, yeah, because I was talking about, but my prediction was wrong because Keith Thurman was talking about he gonna knock out Manny Pacquiao and stuff, and I was like, hell no, y'all must got it tripped. It ain't got nothing to do with it. I said, be careful, man, Keith Thurman. You saying you will knock out Pacquiao? He might knock you out. He might stop you. He might drop you. Look, you careful. You might get dropped. And it happened in the very first round. I was like, whoa. Like, because Keith Thurman was actually controlling the round before Pacquiao. He slipped up and Pacquiao he knocked him down, man. So anyway, this is the thing that I'm trying to explain to people about fights. And I'm not saying that that guarantees without a shade of a doubt that Teofimo Lopez will beat Vasiliy Lomachenko. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that this is where I'm coming from. So you guys know. And if you guys know boxing, some of you who know boxing, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And I've seen Teofimo Lopez execute some of these things. So I was watching that Boxing Wave, and Boxing Wave was saying that, he was saying that, as I expected, Teofimo Lopez is kind of unproven, So I said, listen, look, what you got to do is watch your levels, man. That's why this video is even out. You got to look at levels. If this guy's smoking everybody, it's saying they're not on his level. That's what it's trying to tell you. That's the message you're getting. And the fact that he's stopping these dudes tells you they're not on his level. So when he faces Lomachenko, let's see if Lomachenko's on his level. But if he stops Lomachenko executing the game plan that he has, then it shows you Lomachenko's not on his level. Which means, what's on his level? Right? That's the question. So if he hangs around in lightweight division a little bit longer, we might know. Or if he jumps up to super lightweight and we see how he performs at super lightweight, we will know. Or let's say, for example, that he bounces up at super lightweight, another lightweight that jumped up to super lightweight with him to get a fight with him, and he faces that guy, we would know as well. You know what I'm saying? Because them guys different. This is a different crop of fighters. I'm telling you, man. But Manny Pacquiao surprised us with Keith Thurman, so Lomachenko could surprise us and beat one of these new breeds. That would be huge. And of all the new breeds, to face Teofimo Lopez, both the top ranked fighters, so Bobby Ram ain't got to do nothing. They both promoted by him. Lomachenko gave Teofimo Lopez money to make this fight happen, so we know Lomachenko want this fight. We know Lomachenko ain't trying to get no excuses, just to fight. Okay, fine, let's get it, right? So we'll see. A lot of people predict it's gonna be like a Canelo versus Floyd. Maybe. I mean, I'm not ruling out nothing. I just think from the knowledge base that I have and what I've seen, which is not much, because see, again, I'm just a fight fan. So you don't have to take my word for it. I'm just a fight fan. I'm just coming from a particular perspective, though, of observation. I've been wrong before, so don't take my word as gospel. I'm not a coach. I'm not a guy that analyzes fighters professionally for other fighters to see what they do. So there's a lot of trust me, there's a lot of details in boxing that I am completely leaving out. Because either I'm ignorant of them or I can't explain it in this one video at this point in time, right? There's a lot of details being left out. But I'm just giving you guys my point of view of why I think Lopez would take it the way how I said it would be taken. All right. You don't have to agree with me or anything. But that's where I'm standing. I'm not changing my mind at all. That's just what it is. I said it from a while ago, and I'm sticking with it. I'm not going to change my mind. Um, that's one thing you guys. If I change my mind at the last minute, then you guys. No, I'm not changing my mind at all. I'm not in this one. And then on top of that, I saw Jamal Charlo versus Sergey Derevyanchenko. And for those of you who don't know, Derevyanchenko and Lomachenko, well, obviously you hear the last name, they come from the same place, right? And we saw what Jamal Charlo was able to do to Lomachenko, right? Lomachenko took a lot of punishment. Derevyanchenko took a lot of punishment facing Jamal Charlo. And shout out to Uncle Robert, man. Uncle Robert with his channel. Uncle Robert was critiquing Jamel Charlo, sorry, how he fought Jason Rosario. Just some things he thought that were mistakes on Jamel Charlo's part. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but suffice it to say, I saw how Jamal Charlo dealt with Derevyanchenko. I'm going to tell you right now, that says a lot about Derevyanchenko is not a southpaw. Okay, so it's different. It's almost completely different in a lot of respects, because when you're dealing with southpaws, it's something different. You're dealing with different orientations in space. But the way, because Jamal Charlo is an outboxer, he fights from range, and how he handled Derevyanchenko, who's a mid-range boxer, that's the same thing I was trying to tell you guys. It's about controlling range. How he used his jab, where, of course, Teofimo Lopez will be using his right hand. How he used his jab is exactly what I'm trying to explain. The principle of using the jab, as in the principle of using the right hand, it's the same sort of kind of principle, And there's a lot more I want to say, but it's just way too much information for you guys for tonight. So I'm gonna just leave that alone. But I just wanted to break down a couple things there that I saw, and levels to boxing, and how certain fighters deal and handle certain levels of boxing. And basically, Teofimo Lopez started off at the debutante level, and he just crushed it, right? Then he went to the prospect level, and he crushed that. He just crushed whoever you gave him, he just crushed him, right? And then he went to contender level, which was Nakatani, and he had a little hiccup. He was crushing the guy anyway, but he didn't get him out of there, right? He was crushing the guy, but the guy just decided, I'm not going nowhere. And that's an indicator that can encourage Lomachenko, in the sense that he did not get Nakatani out of there. Nakatani was determined, so Lomachenko can use that. But other than that, but the other thing is, after Nakatani, he went to the championship level and he crushed the guy that was the champion. So it shows you how much better he is than the champion, and all them other guys, and Nakatani. Nakatani hung in there with him, but was taking a lot of punishment, almost got knocked out of there, but he just grit his teeth and he gave back as good as he could get at certain points in the fight. You know what I mean? And all of this just to say that that's what Lomachenko's going up against. Okay, I know this kind of long roundabout way of saying things, but that's what I'm trying to say. When it comes to like Lomachenko, on the other hand, he's not Derevyanchenko. Okay, now Derevyanchenko, he took a lot of punishment, and he's been taking a lot of punishment in the last couple of fights. Lomachenko is a lot more finessed than that. Okay, he's not just going to get beat up like that. But if you get touched, and if I ain't gonna say no more, all I'm gonna say is this: that do not underestimate Teofimo Lopez at all. Don't underestimate him for this fight. A lot of people saying, "Well, Lomachenko will give him a boxing lesson. He's gonna beat him up and stop it." That ain't happening, folks. Not this dude. And I just look at how his attitude is, and we'll see. I just think though It's going to be very interesting. Nobody ever reveals their game plan, even though I basically told you Teofimo Lopez's game plan, and I basically told you what Lomachenko's game plan is. And the reason why this is not rocket science. Anybody who's watched them would see the game plans because they've displayed their game plan in fights. So this is not like something they're not going to go out of character and do things that they're not good at doing, right? So that's why, as I said before, it doesn't matter if I talk their game plans or not. It doesn't matter. There are other ways to proceed with it anyway. So it doesn't matter if I talk about this specific way of dealing with it, right? Because there's several, and even if I tell you what a game plan is, it is a completely different story for a fighter to be able to execute that game plan. Because what is involved in an execution of a game plan is a lot of things, you know. So we'll see what happens between Lopez and Lomachenko. But this is just a starter. You know, we spent about 51 minutes on this. I didn't even expect to talk this long. This is just a little something, man, to put out there for you guys to think about with respect to this fight. I'm not saying Lomachenko can't win. Teofimo Lopez will just vanquish him. I'm not saying nothing like that. You won't hear me saying that, okay? But I'm saying that I lean very strongly to this fight ending early. And Lopez taking Lomachenko's scalp. But if you listen to Lopez talk, listen to him carefully, you realize he's not coming from a puncher's perspective in terms of, I'm going to knock him out. He never said that. He never made that claim. He said, we say that for the cameras, but he has spoken about it in terms of, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to use different procedures and methods, because we're not looking for the knockout like that. Yeah, we want to knock him out, but we're going to box him. We're going to do what we do. And if the knockout come, it come. So that approach is the best approach. Because with defensive fighters like Lomachenko, who particularly use their feet, he does have a little bit of slipping and a little bit of upper body movement, little things he do, Lomachenko, but mostly his feet is his defense. So for fighters like that, you got to be able, as Teofimo Lopez said, to box him. If you can't box him, if you don't understand the rules, because Lomachenko obeys all the rules. He does not break any of the classical rules of boxing. That's the thing about it. So he's going to follow the rules, right? And that's what makes it interesting. He's worked on techniques Lomachenko works on techniques to keep himself from getting clinched up. He knows what to do to keep you from clinching him. So when I talk about Teofimo Lopez getting to the inside and clinching him up and walking him to the ropes, Teofimo Lopez would have to know how to clinch this kid, how to clinch this dude. There's certain kinds of clinches you would use. Just any old kind of clinch will not work. There are certain clinches that you use that will lock him up and then get him to the ropes. Or you can make him initiate the clinch and he's clinching you, in which case you've hurt him, and then you put your weight down on him and walk him to the ropes. But you want to have him reset in a position because he's going to try and turn you. If he clinches up and you're going towards the ropes, he's going to try and turn you, right? Typical classical boxing stuff. And he wants to be on the outside of you, right? Anyways, man, maybe we'll see something new from Lomachenko if he's pinned against the ropes. Hopefully, I expect something interesting. If not, well, Is what it is. But this is what you need. Decided to do this video. I know I haven't done videos in a while, so I just wanted to talk about Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. While I'm at it, I might as well throw in this. So we saw a picture of Errol Spence after the crash in the hospital. His face was all puffy and busted up a bit, but thankfully, thank God, uh, amazing actually that he survived that tremendous crash with his car. I mean, that was a high speed something, and he somehow managed to, come out of that. Probably his body was moving at like 50, 60 miles an hour or something, maybe even more. Hit the ground, roll, or whatever happened to him, and that's the only amount of damage he had taken. That was crazy. His face shouldn't even be in existence. His neck could have been broken. I didn't think it would happen, but God was good to him. And to come back from that, to be able to fight a championship fight is huge. So we'll see what happens with him. I know he was sparring and stuff. I suspect he's fine. Everything's intact. They would probably double and triple check him just to make sure, everything's in order. We will find out in the fight against Andy Garcia what's really up. But I really wanted to talk about Errol Spence. The other thing I want to talk about with you guys that I saw, it was really interesting, and I forgot to talk about it, is, there was a Navarrete fight last night, and tonight probably they had a couple fights as well. I didn't really watch tonight's fight. Tonight was the 10th, so there was a bunch of fights tonight, and I'll give you guys an update on all of that as well. Another thing I want to talk about was a kind of sort of a hot topic, not so hot topic, is that the upcoming fights between Roy Jones Jr. and Iron Mike Tyson. And again, a lot of people, for some reason, I don't know why, they're ruling Roy out of this fight. And you've heard me talking about this. I think a lot of people, what happens is, a lot of people always, look at how Roy got knocked out. He got knocked out by several different people. Punchers. But the difference that a lot of you guys just don't understand is a lot of those guys were active fighters at the elite level. They were active at the elite level when they knocked out Roy. And while Mike Tyson was, I say again, while Mike Tyson was an elite fighter, he's not an elite fighter right now. And the fact that I don't care how much he spars, I don't care how much he gets more time to train, and get less rusty. He hasn't had a professional fight in 15 plus years, right? There's no way he's going into that fight with Roy Jones Jr. and he's not going to have ring rust. I don't care what anybody says. That works in Roy's favor. And then the next thing is Roy's always been in boxing. He's always been active. Even after he retired in 2018, he's been training fighters and he's been active. So that's big. He's been active, and even his fights haven't been at the highest level. They haven't been the most elite level, but he's been in there. Now, the thing about it is, at least with the footage we see of Mike Tyson, he looks fantastic. I mean, he looks, in shape. He's moving so beautifully and so. But we know that was for the cameras. We know that was pad work. We know now he's really putting in the grind. He's really doing the cardio, and he's really getting himself back into boxing shape. We're not talking about just being in shape. Now we're talking about boxing shape, where you're going rounds and stuff. You're putting rounds in the bag and that kind of thing. And putting smoke in your lungs is not going to help you, Mike. I know it's marijuana and all of that, but you can drink the oil, but smoking it is not. I mean, anyway, you probably do use to smoke weed anyway. But the better thing is not smoking weed, but it actually drinking it, using it as a tea or using the oils. It's gonna be phenomenal, brother. If you do that. But smoking is not the best way. But who am I to tell Mike Tyson what to do? The man's a multi-millionaire, and the man is established. He's successful. He's a great marketing genius. Who am I to tell him what to do? Roy lives a clean lifestyle. He don't drink. He don't smoke. He don't do none of them things. So he keeps his temple very clean. And that's going to work in his favor. A lot of you guys think, like I said before, because he got knocked out by certain people at the highest level, that's going to happen with Mike Tyson. That's not how it works in boxing. You may have a great name, but if you're not performing at the highest level, you ain't just going to go in there and tear down a guy just like that who knows boxing and knows what to do if he's in the boxing ring. Most of the times when Roy got stopped, okay, he was doing well in the fights and then he got stopped. Most of the time when that happened, it was because defensively, he had left an opening for his opponent to do so. Like we was talking about controlling real estate. If you're on the inside, you on the inside. If you're on the outside, you on the outside. If you're mid-range, you're mid-range. But you can't be in no man's land. You can't be indecisive about what you're doing. And a lot of times when he got knocked out, it's because a guy swept around his guy and tapped him on this side, right? Catch him flush and he'd just be out cold. And I mean, he was very competitive with Enzo Maccarelli. It was a very competitive fight. He was doing very well in it. Enzo was getting some advantage. I'm not saying Enzo was anything like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's very quick. He's fast. He's explosive. But he's not going to be that way throughout a round. He's going to do it in, especially as he's older, he's going to do it in pockets. He's going to be explosive in pockets. He's going to be explosive for 10, 15 seconds. You last them 10, 15 seconds, he's going to take a break for maybe about 25, 30, maybe even a minute to recoup, and then he's going to be explosive again, right? You don't expect Mike Tyson to be continuously explosive for a full 3 minutes. That's not going to happen. He's too old for that. You know what I'm saying? The rigors of boxing, even though he has muscle memory and all that, the rigors of boxing, you know, getting those old cobwebs out, pushing yourself, getting the pacing back together, you know, training and putting yourself through hell. That's what he's going to have to do. Mike Tyson is training a lot, don't get me wrong. But when you get into the actual fight where you're facing the actual opponent and the actual opponent is faster than you, Roy has quicker hands than Mike Tyson, period. I don't care what you say. Tyson carry a lot of weight in his punches. You know, he don't vary the power. He come with power straight through, right? It's quick. But Roy is a hell of a lot quicker. Maybe about one mile an hour quicker than Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Roy's very, very fast. And he has more size right now to carry with that weight. So it's not like, his foot speed ain't gonna be, you know, his feet are not gonna be, you know, the way how they used to be, meaning he gonna have to plant a lot more, and he's gonna have to pivot a lot more than just step back or step around. You know, he still got that quickness in his feet. You could see that, but you could see his knees are not what they used to be, you know, to take that heat straight through. But he still got them small duck steps. You see those small little duck steps? Those are pivot steps. And his irregular rhythm is going to offset Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson going to be swinging at air a lot of times. and Roy's going to be hitting them with shots. Very quick. I'm telling you, man. I'm just letting y'all know the heads up on that. That Mike is a destructive machine, but he's going to have to get time to acclimate to an actual fight. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not going to be sparring anymore. It's going to be an actual fight. And even though Mike goes hard in sparring and all that, it's still going to be different because you're dealing with a guy that's going to be quicker than you and faster than you in certain aspects of the game. Maybe your foot speed is going to be faster than his. But one thing I can tell, I still don't think. See, because Roy, like I said before, Roy has this duck-like movement. Okay, he shifts his weight on either foot very quickly. He makes these small little steps, and if he sticks with that, he can pivot faster than Mike could ever try to throw a punch. You know what I'm saying? And his balance, even though Roy got bad knees, he's still. I think Mike expends too much energy, whereas Roy can stay calm, composed, and still move very, very fast. And that's something I like. If you understand boxing and what I'm saying to you guys, these are things people are just overlooking, just like that. Like they're just overlooking these points. Can Mike knock out Roy with one punch if he catches him? Absolutely. Absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. No, nobody's questioning that. But so could a John Ruiz. I'm not saying John Ruiz is Mike Tyson, but I'm just saying. Okay, but he didn't touch him. He didn't touch him. Roy is a guy that if he don't want you to touch him, see, he was mixing it up with Enzo Maccarelli. He was mixing it up, and then he went and put up that high guard thing instead of slipping to the inside and putting his head in a safe place over Enzo Maccarelli's shoulder so that Enzo Maccarelli can hit him. That's what he was doing before. Maccarelli was trying to come with uppercuts and stuff, but Roy was staying close to him, riding his body movements, his punch. Now, that's not necessarily the tool to use against Mike Tyson because Mike Tyson liked to fight on the inside, right? But my thing is, if you protect yourself properly on the inside, then it eliminates your opponent, being able to do a lot of things. And especially in the later rounds, if Roy ever makes it to the later rounds in that fight, where they close together or whatever. I heard there may be judges in this fight, so you can win on points or whatever. I mean, exhibitions are exhibitions. You can do whatever you want with them. But if Roy can make it to some of the later rounds where Mike Tyson has burned out some of his energy, then Roy can definitely, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do pace training with Roy so that he can control the pace of the fight with Mike Tyson when Mike Tyson comes out with all that energy. Because, see, this is another thing that a lot of people don't understand about boxing, right? A high-energy fighter expends more energy than a fighter who doesn't have to do all of those kinds of tra-la-la-la-las and jump through hoops to be as effective as that high-energetic fighter. See, Mike Tyson is a high-energy fighter. He got to move. He moves quick and everything, and he consumes a lot of energy to make his moves. So he has to be in ridiculous, impeccable shape. Roy more depends on boxing, and as much as people say, "Oh, Roy was depending on his athleticism and blah 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 blah," I listen to them with one ear and I let it pass through another ear because I know Roy has the fundamentals down pat. He is a fundamental boxer, but he had chosen to put away certain tools because he found equally effective tools, which people say, "Oh, his athleticism." No. Athleticism alone and smarts, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. Roy was a guy that showed us that the jab doesn't have to be the only lead hand. I'm not saying he's the only person in history to do it, but the way how he did it, he's the only person in history to do it that way. And Roy would put away the jab completely for an entire fight. We've never seen that before by any boxer in the history of boxing. He'd put away the jab completely, use his left hook, and use his right hand as the lead. Yeah, we've not seen that before. Roy's the first guy to really show that. And Roy showed us a lot of other things that showed us, and that's how we learned about the lead hand and the lead foot. And that's why I said I even did a video on it where we're talking about how the lead hand or the lead foot, how you use those tools really determines how you can win a fight. I haven't gone into detail about it, but there's a lot to that. And I'm not trying. Again, I'm just a boxing fan that observe these things. Okay, and that was something special about Roy that a lot of people just underestimated, never quite understood what he was doing. He always could use the jab, and we saw him use the jab against Benny Zienza excellently, right? So he can use the jab if he needs to. Can Roy infight? He's not the greatest infighter, but he knows what to do on the inside. But he put away those tools. We saw him in his last two fights use the tools back and perfect the tools where he knows where to put his body, where to angle his body, how to put his head. He still would go to the rope, still use the two guard, but he would try and cover up properly so that he cover up his face properly, right? Because Roy could get hit with punches by certain fighters, but they're just certain fighters at the higher weight classes like cruiserweight, and even some fighters at light heavyweight. Because Roy is not really a true light heavyweight either. It's one of the weirdest things that I'm saying right now. He's a blown up super middleweight. That's what Roy really is. But Roy was being hit by bigger and bigger guys. Bigger and bigger guys are hitting him. And you get a bigger guy, a much bigger guy than you, get a clean shot at you, he's gonna put your lights out. And he got hit clean by certain shots. Even though he had his guard defending, he didn't expect the punch to split the guard and hit him, and would hit him and knock him out completely. Okay, so that's why Roy was laughing at people who say he don't have a chin or he's chinny. But I still say he's chinny, but not in the he is chinny. It is what it is. Whereas some other fighter might have taken the punch, ride the punch and move their head, he just take it flush and then he goes to sleep. Period. Right. And that's just something he's gonna have to deal with when he's dealing with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson gonna bring the heat. It's gonna bring a lot of punches and bunches. The double left hooks and the combinations. And Mike is a tornado, right? But through that tornado, if you calm in the midst of a storm, I don't care if it's a tornado, I don't care if it's a hurricane, you become like the eye of the hurricane. You become the calm in the midst of the storm. You're gonna see everything. You're gonna see everything. And because your body's not gonna be tensed up or inhibited in any sort of way, your body gonna flow very well, and he gonna see it like if it's slow mo, and he gonna be able to deal with whatever the situation is that is there. The idea is not to get yourself agitated and emotionally too excited. You're gonna have a certain degree of fear. It's always good to keep you, keep that reflexes going. But in terms of burning all that extra energy that you might need for the 8th round or the 7th round, you need to keep that. The other thing what will work for Roy is sometimes closing the distance and clashing, like how Evander Holyfield did. But you got to keep that chin down. Once he keep that chin down and he clashes with Tyson, let him know, hey, you ain't push. He needs to let him know that physically, not so much the punch. Roy's focusing on the punches too, but physically you must be able to move Tyson around. So he should be working on his physical strength, not just finesse, but physical strength. Clash with him. Let him feel your body, your strength, your body power. Clash with him physically. Let him know, hey, you ain't just gonna push me around. I'm solid all around. That's what you got to do with a bully. Because Tyson coming in there to bully Roy. Roy's a small guy, and Tyson, he a smart dude. So if he realizes that Roy ain't about to get bullied, that this country boy, he don't play, he might now look for another approach. So hopefully Mike Tyson fights even smarter than he has ever fought before in his life, and he uses cunning and wildness and trickiness in his game. More veteran moves. That would be really cool to see. I love to see chess matches. I really don't like to see checkers or chess. I don't like to see checker matches. I like to see chess. So I like to see the more intelligent fighters do their thing. Sometimes I actually like my favorite fights actually are guys who are very have really good defense, and it's hard to score on each other. I really like that because then I can't really say, 1 minute, this guy's winning the round, next minute the other guy's. I really love that kind of thing. But we don't get to see that every single day. But when I see boxers with high IQ, when I was looking like Rolly Romero versus forgot what the kid's name is, something Jackson. That was a good fight. I mean, Jackson was winning it. I thought he won it, but it was a chess match. Rolly Romero, he wasn't coming back. He was pretty mechanical with his pull counters, and he was getting tagged for it. But he also did some really great work, going to the body and the hooks and the lead rights that he was using, off of a feint and stuff. I thought it was really beautiful how you get in there, cover the range and get to the kid. So, but both of them had really good defense. It was blocking a lot of punches, and that's something that you don't really see every single day. You don't see complete fighters like that. You don't see fighters who can do a lot of things at a lot of different ranges, and it could change up the game. And it's more of a chess match because they're adapting to each other round by round. And if anything like that happens with Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr., I will be like in my heaven. I'll be on the fifth. I'll be ecstatic. I'll be on the fifth plane and all that. You know what I'm saying? I can't, because that's the best kind of boxing. You know what I mean? But maybe we get something like that, because if we can get vets in there, they should be smarter. They shouldn't just be one dimensional. And I'm hoping Mike Tyson shows more dimensions to his game than just go get him and throw a whole bunch of punches at him. And that's kind of a tough ask for Mike Tyson, to be honest with you, because he hasn't boxed in a long time. And this is going to be his first, fight back from not really throwing punches or anything. So, but hopefully, just something I could see that's, slide, tricky, and veteran, some veteran move. You know what I'm saying? I love nuance. I love, well, we call it nuance. I don't think it's nuance, but I love when a boxer is doing something in there. That's that's crafty. That's the word I'm looking for. You know what I mean? Like, how Loma will knock away your hand. He knock away your hand, or he move your hand out the way of a shot and angle your body, or how they touch you on the shoulder with a touch your shoulder to shift you this way or shift you that way. I love those kinds of stuff, man. I love this things that the average casual fan will not even notice, and it's happening right in front of their face, but they're not noticing. A lot of people feel that boxing is about throwing punches, but man, when do you guys watch at boxing is, I believe in certain respects. Now I think about it and what I do. It's about balance. Have you guys ever I don't know how many of you guys ever boxed before, but you can't really do nothing if you're off balance. And a guy can he can literally bump you and throw you off balance if you're not in the right positioning. And these are like all little subtle little things that happen inside of that ring that a lot of times people don't even notice. Like, they don't notice when a boxer's throwing another boxer off balance. Of course, sometimes they step on each other's foot as well. But there's all these little subtle. It's called craft, right? There's all these little subtle things in boxing that a lot of fans miss. That's why Roger Mayweather said, yeah, man, most people don't know shit about boxing. They don't realize what this guy just did. This guy, they don't realize it. It was right in front of their face. Because they always watching for somebody to punch somebody, right? but there's a lot of things you can do other than punch a guy that can wear him down, throw off his rhythm, and I think people are now discovering this, and so I love those kinds of things. I'll be honest with you. I love those kinds of things. And as I have to go, as I have an amateur or pro fight, I put that in my tool bag and I try it out and that kind of stuff, So, anyways, man, I'm gonna keep you guys. I don't want to keep you guys too long. I just wanted to talk about that with Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. Some things for you guys to factor in, you know, because there are a lot of Tyson fans out here. I realize, and they both, man. I mean, Mike Tyson has had an impact on everybody. And then the cool thing about Mike Tyson is he stays relevant all the time, and he's involved in multiple businesses. And that man is so creative. I love it. I love the guy. To be honest with you, he's an awesome person, man. The boxing scientist says as long as Lopez don't allow Loma to dictate the fight, he will beat Loma. Right, exactly. And and remember, Loma will dictate via range. So you have to, if you let Loma get to the mid range, um, you can forget about it. He has so much knowledge on how to deal with you once he gets to the mid range. But if you and you see that, okay. So again, I use Mayweather versus Pacquiao as my illustration in this respect. Pacquiao's a mid range fighter. The thing that Pacquiao has that Loma doesn't have is unpredictability, because Pacquiao does a lot of things and shoots shots at some weird ass angles Loma just don't do. Okay, I mean Pacquiao's head is over here, but his hand is way over there, and he's still catching you with a jab. Like it's a real just weird ass shit that Pacquiao be doing. Okay, that don't follow no rules, right? Like his no look left hook. He'd be like Danny Garcia with that shit. His head is way down on the ground. The hook is going over and still clocking you on the chin. Ask Ricky Hatton. Right? So Pacquiao do some weird ass shit. Right? He's unpredictable at a certain range. And Floyd took that away from him by taking away the range. Right? He took away the range from Pacquiao. Now Pacquiao can't do shit. Right? So that's what Teofimo Lopez has to do to Lomachenko effectively. And what will happen is, yeah, Loma loves going to his right side because that's the weak side. That's what southpaws do. Once they get lead foot dominance is where my lead foot is outside of your lead foot. Okay, so if I'm a southpaw, I'm a southpaw, and that's why I kind of know a little bit about southpaws. I will try, in the traditional sense of the word, to get my lead foot outside of your lead foot, because what happens is I get myself in a position where I can hit you and I can slip your punch to the outside and you just can't hit me. And when I pivot out this way, for example, now I still have free reign on you. I can throw a whole bunch of combinations and you can't tag me with nothing unless you turn and face me. But for that to happen, you have to be within a certain range of the person. And how that person is circling will determine if I actually get to throw those other punches that I want to throw. So that's why I said Lopez circles in the way in which it makes it difficult for Lomachenko to go weak side on him. It's called weak side attack. So that's the thing that I was trying to explain to people. Now, Lomachenko can still try and feint Lopez down the center and then get Lopez to throw his lead right hand, and then he could circle to the outside of the lead right hand. And if he does that, then he has free reign. He can throw a couple combinations and just keep on turning Lopez, and Lopez trying to catch up with him. But to do that again, he has to be within range, which means he may have to risk Lopez lighting him up with a right hand as he tries to, because Lopez might feint it and come back with a double right hand. He may come back with another right hand and hit Lomachenko. Even though he's slipping this way, Lopez could just pivot and pow, hit him again. So it's tricky, and especially where Lopez has that reach advantage, it's a very tricky situation. Lomachenko would have to go down the center, in other words, and once he's going down the center, he's going to have to take punishment unless he can slip the punch, get below the punches, etc. So that's why I said no. Lomachenko can pivot either way. He can do what is called an outside pivot, but he needs to be a certain distance away from Lopez to have those options. If he's a certain distance from Lopez, he could wreak havoc on Lopez. He could have Lopez turning this way, then turning that way. He's just getting tattooed up. Lomachenko is that kind of dude. He really got the mid-range down packed. Okay? But you take that away from him, and all of a sudden, he's got to go typical. He got to do the typical thing. You know what I mean? So, anyways, man, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna catch you guys later. I'm what you need. You've been watching my video, The Boxing Scientist. Shout out to you. Loma Fights and Patterns. Yeah, we call them algorithms. Algorithms. He runs algorithms. Yeah. Rehearse patterns. He throws shots to the head, then he throws that left hand shot to the body. He does a lot of things. A lot of things. Like I said before, if Lomachenko makes this a mid-range game, it's game over for Teofimo Lopez. Lomachenko does all kinds of combinations. He can throw a jab with his left hand. He can throw a jab with his right hand. He goes southpaw. He does all kinds of crazy things. Orthodox southpaw. When he's in his heyday, once he gets running, there is no stopping the Lomachenko trade. That's what makes him great. And he's been doing this for a long time, mostly in the amateurs, but he's been doing it. He's seen every single style there is to see. But the problem is I don't think he has dealt with an explosive fighter, a God-gifted fighter with the kind of quickness and reflexes that Lopez has. And if Lopez does the right things, like I said, Lopez just needs to be Lopez, but a sharper version of Lopez, and he'll get the results that they're looking for. Yeah, man. Boxing Scientist, man, in the building. Shout out to Boxing Scientist. I know there's a couple people watching this video right now. But I just wanted to say that because with Roy Jones Jr. particularly and Mike Tyson, I think a lot of you guys are just writing off Roy Jones Jr. Oh, man, he's going to fight for Tyson. And he's been knocked out before. Oh, man, Roy's going to get knocked out again. Well, there are some things you guys are leaving out. He's going to be motivated for Mike Tyson. He knows the threat. He knows the danger. So he knows he more than likely can get hit if he gets hit flush with Mike Tyson. So he's going to actually be more motivated than he was for the cruiserweight title that he was going for. He's going to be more motivated for that. But what I would say is I'm hearing Roy say some really crazy shit like he's still going to look for the cruiserweight title. No, Roy, you are 51 years old. After you finish with Mike Tyson, if you make it to the finish line, you don't get stopped. You need to just call it quits. Just let it go, buddy. Let it go. Take the win. If you win, take the win and ride off into the sunset. You got your dream, your hope. And yeah, okay. You know, a lot of people say, well, Roy, Roy should he should follow his dreams. Listen, man. First of all, hopefully this fight comes off with Mike Tyson and Roy. But the second thing is, after this fight, regardless if Mike Tyson knocks out Roy or Roy goes on to finish on the unanimous decision, get the call, whatever. Here's the thing. After all of that is said and done, right? Roy, you just had an exhibition. You didn't have a pro fight. So don't chain yourself up and think that you can just jump back into the pro game with guys who be just doing it all the time. You know, them guys like Maris Bredis and Dorticos, they will eat you for lunch. So please do not, if whatever happens at the end of this exhibition, let's say, God forbid, you win, right? Not God forbid. That'd be a great thing if you win. That's not God forbid. But let's say you win. Don't take that as a tick to go in the pros. That's where you will get seriously hurt, my friend. Seriously hurt. Okay? Like Tyson's not a pro anymore. Okay? He hasn't fought in 15 years. He's dangerous, but because of ring rust, you're going to have something you can work with. And you got the best trainer in the world training you to face him. But let this man know, Roy Jones Jr., there is a difference between facing a guy who hadn't fought in 15 years and pros who are at the elite level, who've been fighting every year, multiple times. Okay, don't get yourself out there thinking that you can compete with them. That's, unless you are fighting 10 fights a year, sharpen up your skills really, really sharp, you know, and you making it through 10 fights a year. You got to fight 10 fights. You got to fight. Forget that. You got to fight every month. Every month. Okay. Every month you have a fight. You got to fight. And you got to be fighting. You start off with, guys with losing records or whatever. And you got to fight a lot of fights, bro. A lot of fight. I don't care what you say. You will say, "Oh no, man, I'm at an old age, man. I need to save myself." Blah 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 blah. No, nope. For an entire year, you need to be fighting, and upgrading the fighters as you fight them to see what level you're at. That's how serious it is because you haven't been in boxing for 2 years. 2 years is a lifetime for a guy who's your age, and everybody else is moving ahead. Everybody else is getting better. You ain't gonna make you. I mean, I can't say what a man can or cannot do, but that's a tall ask and dangerous. Dangerous. You think the Mike Tyson fight is dangerous? That's more dangerous than a Mike Tyson fight because you're talking about putting yourself through rigor and so on, and then dealing with guys who are in their primes or well established, already got the veteran savviness, and they're going to be quicker, have better reflexes than you do. Their muscles, their body is able to take more punishment than you can because you take an accumulation of punishment over time. You done already talking about the slur, Roy. We don't need that. We don't need you at the age of 60. You can't walk, you can't talk. I mean, it's serious. Like this is boxing. We need Roy. We need your expertise. We don't need another Thomas. I'm not gonna say nothing about that. But we don't need some veteran, some OG that can't do nothing, can't give back nothing, can't train nothing. We need OGs like you, man. So sometimes you got to put a timestamp on your dreams, and certain things are just not achievable. Get your dream fight with Mike Tyson. Not a lot of people get to do that. Old fighters get addicted to the limelight. They can't let it go. But Roy, just a fighter. Roy like to fight. You could tell. That's why he's still in the fight game. That's why he's training fighters because he like to fight. Roy just like to fight. And if you was born and you was bred by your military father to fight, Roy's just a fighter at heart. He just want to fight all the time. The thing with Roy is he's got to let it go now. He's got to let it go. I don't think it's so much the limelight. I think Roy, Roy, a dude, he like them. He like them fighting chickens. You know what I'm saying? They bred and raised to fight. That's all they want to do is just fight. You know what I'm saying? That's Roy. Roy's just that kind of guy. He like to fight. Evander Holyfield likes to fight. Okay, that's why Mike Tyson having a venue for guys like Roy and so on, a safer venue where it's exhibition fights and y'all could throw hands. I saw Julio Cesar Chavez fighting Jorge say, and they throwing hands, man. They going at it hard. They going at it hard. You know what I'm saying? That's good. You get to focus on somebody and go at it. But those guys aren't fighting every year. They're not at the elite level all the time. You know what I mean? Hold on 1 second. I just gotta go to the bathroom and come back. Ooh. Yeah, you know, The nature of boxing is something where a lot of people just don't understand. A boxer's mentality is different to say a normal citizen's mentality. You know what I mean? Their mentality is that you know you gotta hit something. You know. So that's why he trains fighters. He gets to see them hit things. He himself can hit stuff. Perfect paradise. You know what I'm saying? You got when you've been raised all your life, that's all you've been doing is punching stuff. All right, so yeah, obviously he'd be excited to get in the ring and punch somebody. That's what he's been doing all his life. It's not easy to just stop that, okay? Um, even with when Floyd's training fighters and stuff, it's funny because you just got to stay around the gym, got to stay around the boxing. It's just what you raise. That's what you live. That's why I said, the OGs, you know, getting them plugged into younger fighters will help them live longer and let them just be around the sport. Buddy McGirt, he do that. The only thing with Buddy is Buddy need to be in shape, man. Buddy gonna die of some kind of thing, heart disease or something. If Buddy keep on loafing around like that, and just he's got incredible expertise on the sport, but we need Buddy to stay alive. Buddy's like, if I get back to training, I think I might want to fight. Buddy, come on now. Oh man, Buddy McGirt, man, hell of a fighter, excellent fighter, man. Come to boxing, brilliant. But yeah, we'd love to see, love to see Buddy get in shape at least. Stay in shape, stay healthy, stay fit, stay in shape, eat healthy at least. You know, Buddy, man. See Buddy do some skip ropes, be able to demonstrate to the fighters, show them what it is. Just get in there and do it. You know what I'm saying? I know you could just tell them, but it'd be nice if you get in shape, buddy. I'm just saying. Boxing Science just says Roy needs to stop. We don't want him ending up like Ali did, and he doesn't really slur in his speech and shit, man. He don't need that. But the Tyson fight. Let me tell you why the Tyson fight's a safe fight. Anything happens to Roy, the referee would just stop the fight, right? So the referee might even allow Roy to hit the canvas if Tyson hurt him, right? But and anything happened to Tyson, same thing. You got this is an exhibition fight, so they won't let it just they won't just let it drag out but in a pro fight, it's totally different. It's totally different. These guys been punching. See, like okay, as much as Mike Tyson has muscle memory and all of this stuff, right? He's not going to be as sharp. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh no, Tyson will be sharp." Yeah, but he's not going to be as sharp as if he was fighting all the time. I don't care if he was fighting for 15 years all the time against bums. He's just not going to be sharp. So and that's what I know. I know for a fact that's just what it's going to be. Roy's not going to train like if but he knows in the back of his mind that's an advantage he'll always have over Tyson. If Tyson had a tune-up fight before he had Roy, that's totally different, right? But that's what it's going to be. So Roy has that immediate advantage because he's been in boxing, he's been doing it, he's been in that environment all the time. So, and he's gotten rest too. He's well rested. So Roy has just that huge advantage over Mike Tyson. As much as Mike Tyson looks fit, he's done all the therapies and stuff, and he looks great. It's a totally different thing being, in a live fight versus sparring and all those other things. And I'm sure he's going through hell right now sparring, just to keep himself in shape, just to keep up and do what he needs to do. And the only thing he has to go through hell for that. With Roy, I mean, as much as his legs might have gone some, it's the boxing IQ. It's the boxing knowledge that you keep. It's the fact that you're a defensive fighter. That's huge. And you did it at the highest level, and you still moving around, training other people and coaching other people on the highest level. So that alone makes Roy IQ ridiculous. He has a ridiculous IQ, and then he has a great trainer who's training him right now. So Roy is going to be able to resort to that in his fight with Mike Tyson. And if Mike Tyson is just all about physical physique, fitness, and energy, and trying to get the stoppage by sparring guys and just seeing how he can work things out, that's not gonna be enough. You got to have, and Roy said Tyson has a great boxing IQ, which Tyson does have, but that's not gonna be enough to beat Roy. I don't care who you are. Um, Enzo Maccarinelli beat Roy because that was the level just before the championship level. And of course, Enzo Maccarinelli has become a world champion by beating Roy. So that's the kind of level that Roy was at. And he was doing well in that fight, by the way. Maccarinelli looked like he was getting to him. But Roy's at that kind of that's the kind of level Roy's at. So, Mike Tyson, fighting Roy needs to understand that. You know what I mean? He's gonna have the size advantage. He's gonna have the advantage in that he's an inside fighter and Roy's an outside fighter. His expertise is inside fighting. Roy's expertise is outside fighting. So he's gonna have that advantage over Roy. Once he can get to the inside of Roy. Roy is better off pot shotting and moving. And when I say moving, just simple things like sidestepping Tyson, pivoting around him, stepping around him, turning him, all the same thing actually. But not using wide pivots and not going straight back. Very important. The boxing scientist says, what do you think about Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia? Spence wins that fight, in my opinion. And the reason that is so, because Danny did a great job walking down Adrian Granados. But Adrian Granados was trying to fight Danny Garcia at first. And then when he realized that wasn't working, he tried to box him. But by that time, Danny had broken him down enough to get him out of there. I love how Danny was cutting off the ring, though. And I'm not saying that Danny's not strong. He's very, very strong. I think he's stronger than he ever was in his career. And I think that, he could easily go up to 154. He got incredible dynamite. He got dynamite in both hands. That's not the issue. And Ivan Redcat did go the distance, and he punched Ivan Redcat, right? But here's the thing that I want people to understand. I think that Errol Spence is sparring right now, boxing scientists. You say we don't know that. Oh shit! I didn't realize my battery power is going. We don't know that the accident could play a toll on Spence. Yeah, of course. That's a factor, that X factor that we will find out come fight night, right? But Spence is sparring right now. So if anything's to happen to him, we should hear about it in sparring. Share about it in sparring. So if Errol Spence is compromised in any way, we will hear about it in sparring. From what I see, he's getting good work, so he seems to be fine. So I don't think that's going to be a factor at all. Well, not a big factor. It may be a factor down the road because that was tremendous trauma. But remember, and this is the blessing, Errol Spence been a boxer. He used to getting head trauma. So that accident actually happened to him, and thank God he came out in one piece. But it would be like somebody really hitting you with a really hard shot, And the question would be, was he conscious when they found him after the crash? Or was he unconscious? He probably was unconscious. So that was a lot of trauma to his body and his head. But God was good to him, man. God was good to him. He fell probably enrolled. He probably fell enrolled. Took some of the steam off of the impact. But man, that's crazy. He didn't break no bones, nothing. That's crazy, man. But obviously, um, but then again, he's probably getting the best possible care to heal back his body. You know, the best possible care probably brought him back really well. I heard one of his hands was pretty badly cut up and stuff, and all everything's good now. We see his hands, everything's good. His teeth, everything's good. So, um, Errol's got a lot of tools in the tool bag, and we saw some of them against Danny Garcia, but he's still got more tools than that. He has not shown us all his tools. So Errol can box, and the thing about Errol is this: he can box, and he's strong, and his stance is incredible. Um, Spence can't stand in front of Danny's left hook. That was obviously that would not be a good idea. No, well, we're not asking him to go bang for bang, right? Of course not. Not even his right hand. I wouldn't suggest he try to stand in front of anything that Danny had. Danny has heavy hands. Okay, he got power in both hands. If he hits you with that power, he's gonna shake you up, and you just might see the canvas. Right? Danny hits hard. Ask Lucas Matisse. So and Danny's probably hitting the hardest he's ever hit in his life. So that's not a good idea to. But the thing with Danny is Danny has to have you going kind of toe to toe with him. He's got to have exchanges. You see, even when he's going to get you, he really does best in an exchange. He's kind of like a Juan Manuel Marquez. He does well initiating exchanges and getting in exchanges. He does very well with that. So if Errol Spence sharpshoots him, pot shots him, and breaks him down to the body and to the head with Errol, that's what he does initially in any fight anyway. And backs him up a little bit, he's gonna have an easy night. But if Danny can walk down Errol Spence, he decides, shit, I ain't backing up one day. I'm gonna walk your ass down. Now we will see what Errol Spence has in the tank. But I do believe Errol will just box him off the back foot, because now he gets to counter Danny coming in. So, and Errol's no slouch when it comes to hitting, cracking people with punches. And if he is able to break down Danny somewhere around the 10th, 11th, and 12th rounds, like what Lamont Peterson did, he starts turning up the volume, really starts cracking Danny, you're going to beat him up at least. He's going to soften him up, beat him up in the later rounds. But Errol shouldn't be coming out there trying to blaze with Danny or anything like that. That's a dumb idea. Danny has a great chin. Danny is a tough Philly fighter, man. It's really tough. He's tough. Keith Thurman hit him on the button with a right hand from hell. And Danny, you can see Danny was knocked out on his feet. He just drooped right down, and that guy came right back up. Danny went to sleep and he woke back up. He's tough. He's tough. He's a really, really tough fighter. And Danny's a hell of a fighter, man. Hell of a fighter. So I think a lot of people think that Danny could knock out Spence, or obviously he has the power to knock him out. He has the power to knock out a horse. But the thing about it is, Spence can do various things. I'm not saying Danny can't box either. I know he can box, right? I know he has good defense as well. But I'm just saying that Spence is able to move around and do different things that give him an advantage in that kind of fight. Unless Danny's working on drills to be more explosive and quick and be kind of Sean Porter-ish like Spence, then that would be a problem as well. Because Danny has sneaky speed. He's great timing. He's a guy that will slip and slide more than step in or step out or roll in or roll out. So he's more of a slip and slider. So he can close the distance on you real quick and sneakily, because he's sliding in instead of stepping in. So Danny's a tricky guy. He's got little tricks of the trade up his sleeve. So you never know how that fight could turn out with Errol and Danny. I'm going on 2 hours. I need to go to sleep, folks. But yeah, it was nice talking boxing with you guys. I'm what you need. Deuces to everybody. I'm going to catch you guys again. Have a good night. Peace.